And we are live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Gathering Paracast on the Cryptovania Network. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Heidi, and we're back for another fun holiday show tonight.
Yes, tis the season.
It is. So Steph, you came up with this idea tonight.
I did. Well, it's that time of year, and we always take, all craziness has a little grain of salt. And of course, one of my favorite holiday movies is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, ever since I was knee-high to a boll weevil. And what is in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? It is Bumble, the Yeti, the snow monster. There he is in all his glory. And I love Bumble so much. It's, and they tore out Hermie, took out all of his teeth so that he would be nice. And then next thing you know, he's hanging the stars on the tree at the palace up north, So, yeah, terrible is right. But I mean, he was going to eat Rudolph, So I guess it is what it is. But so I thought, wouldn't it be fun to kind of compare the two cryptids, that we talk about? Bigfoot is got so many researchers, including me and you and Heidi and Cryptovania. And, we've all been out there in the field looking for Sasquatch, but there's not a whole lot of researchers that look for Yeti. And I think part of it is because they're in such remote areas and high up in the mountains, it's just hard to do.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, the TV shows and any kind of evidence or footage is very much Sasquatch or Bigfoot, focused. But also, you have to think of just the different types of beings that are out there, and we can talk about that later. Because I was curious, and so I started looking up maps of who all has sightings, where are all this stuff, and so we can talk about that later. But it's amazing what all is out there. But yeah, the primary focus seems to be Bigfoot, and maybe that's just in our country, right?
There's Patty. So that's the Patterson footage, and of course, that is up for debate. I know the Cryptovania boys think that is just the most fabulous thing. I have my doubts. I think you do too, Heidi. We kind of talked about this beforehand. I don't know. It's hard to say. Of course, we say I could actually see a Squatch, get a video, and people are going to say that's not real.
True. I just think so. My idea on that, and I don't know. So this is my opinion only, because who knows? But for all of the people out there looking for Sasquatch over the last 20 years, with cameras in the areas and all the locations with all the gear, and aren't getting anything close to that kind of footage. And then you have this video that is just walking, looking at you hey, what's up?
Yep.
I have a hard time with it.
Me too. And, we're not going to debate the whole thing, but I've heard stories from researchers about what happened that day when they filmed that. If it's true or not, some of them are pretty compelling, but at the same time, you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. But that is the Patty video for sure. And the only actual picture that I could come up with of a Yeti, I also sent to Jason. It's pretty far away and it's pretty blurry, but those are footprints. So those are the Yeti's footprints up in the Himalayas. They're different than a Squatch print. Much wider, much shorter. You can see that boot that's next to it. And that is the picture. And that is supposedly a Yeti. And he's not white.
So I wonder where the white comes from. Has anybody actually seen a white Squatch?
I guess I don't know.
It's interesting because there's this new, I don't know if it's a new show. Tim started watching it and he's like, you got to see this Expedition Bigfoot. And they've had some pretty interesting footage that they've seen where it's almost like the being is invisible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it can, like, I don't know if it's, and I've seen other shows too where they think that the fur or hair or whatever is almost like a
Yeah.
polar bear, where it can
Yep.
reflect, it changes in
Yep.
light and whatever. And so it could be considered, something that blends in with the surroundings, visible. So maybe it's white when it's in snow, maybe it's dark when it's not. But that one that you just showed was
Yeah.
dark
Definitely
in
in
snow.
snow. In snow. So
So yeah.
maybe there's different ones in different places. Like it seems like all of a lot of the research that I found were of Yetis in the Himalayas, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they've also spotted Yetis in Siberia, in Russia. I mean, we talk
Mm-hmm.
about the whole Dyatlov incident that happened in 1973 when those 9 hikers were mysteriously killed. They still don't know really what happened to them, but one of the questions was it a Yeti who came and killed? But that's been ruled out. But the people who live there have seen Yeti, and there have been researchers that have actually looked for Yeti there. And they say there's Yeti in many places, just like Bigfoot, but it's really most of the research is done over in the Asian, Russian area, not really North America, although I have read that they are in, you know, the Himalayas, Russia, France, and the northern United States, like up where it's polar, like where the
Mm-hmm.
polar bears are.
Well, and
But
we
we
just
just,
had a comment in the chat room saying, what if it's, I think it was Cryptovania was saying, what if it's an aging Yeti or Sasquatch?
yep,
Maybe it's
yep,
just aging. It's
maybe.
older and they turn white just like we do.
And here's the thing, well, we have, there is a squatch up in northern Minnesota, up in the Chippewa Forest, that has splotches of white on its back. So, yeah, could it be? Or, one thing that I've heard that about Sasquatch too, well, they're just old, so maybe that's the same with the Yeti. They just get old and they
Mhm.
lose the color of their hair. It's good, but they do have different hair, right? But a lot of what I've read too is a lot of the things that the researchers have brought in, like hair samples, stuff like that, have been bears. They've been bears, they've been other explainable living creatures. And a lot of the footprints that I saw looked to me like a bear's double step.
Mhm.
The line that Jason showed with all the Yeti photos, that is more like a Bigfoot. And I think, Jason, I put some pictures of the prints that Squatchers has found up in the woods. Um, yeah, so there's my foot and one of the Bigfoot prints that we found, much larger. And there's the runway that we found up in the snow, and they were big. I think 22 inches was some of them. And these Yeti prints were like, I think they said 12 inches maybe. So like almost half of this, only half the size of a Bigfoot print, which is interesting. And then the reports differ. Some say that he's bigger than Bigfoot. Some say that he's smaller than Bigfoot. So I guess we don't know. It's just a mystery.
Well, and that could be to, so when I was doing some research too, I was like, well, what's out there? And so, Jason, if you could show just the map of all the different names and the locations. Yeah, there it is. So look at all of that. I mean, there's so many
Mhm.
different locations that sightings have been all over the world.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of them that were just the outline, right? So that would be white. I would imagine that's the idea.
Yep.
And most of them aren't. And so I think it's interesting too, just how many are all over the world that
Mhm.
could be all different sizes and colorings. Interesting too with this Expedition Bigfoot. Not that I'm not like promoting this. I have not watched the series. Tim keeps calling me in when he's watching it. He's like, "Oh, you got to see this." And there was this one episode where they found like these I don't know, talismans or something that were tied up with white fur. And, you think of
Ooh.
like the Yeti or, what, and having that white kind of snarly looking
Yeah.
wild looking fur, but it was
Mhm.
so it was like this bunch of fur, and it was tied up in with a symbol and like put up to a tree that so it looked like either a marking or a offering or some kind of communication. Like I don't know,
Yep.
because I didn't watch the rest of the show because I was in the middle of doing something else. So
Mhm. Mhm.
but it was definitely this whitish, creamy colored fur, which was
Interesting.
interesting,
Mhm.
that's not typical when you see the
Mhm.
shows, because like you said, it's dark, it's bare, or, it's brown or
Yeah.
black or gray,
Yeah.
so could it be wolf or whatever. But anyway, it was interesting when I was getting ready for the show and just seeing like all the different areas across the planet
Mhm.
that have had
Mhm.
some kind of sighting,
Right.
you
Well,
know,
and I wonder
and
too, and I didn't even think about looking into this until now, when of course it's too late. But I wonder if the Canadian Bigfoot researchers have ever run into white Sasquatches or something they might call a Yeti. I should have
yeah,
punched
I
that
don't know.
angle in there because there are a lot of Bigfoot researchers up in Canada too. And
Mhm,
I know some of them have found some pretty wild things. Remember those rings that I found up in the woods up here close to me? Well, they
mhm,
found those too, like on hanging on structures, like out in the vast
mhm.
wilderness of Canada, you know? So what do they mean? I don't know. But it'd be interesting to know if they've seen white ones or if they've seen a true Yeti up there because it's the polar regions up there too. And I mean, interesting. I don't know.
What and that brings up another thing that came up while I was doing this research is, and I don't know if it'll play because the last time you played it, Jason, it didn't show up. So there's a map of the like barren desert areas on our planet.
Mhm.
I don't think it's showing up. Is it showing up? No.
Mm.
Um, anyway, yeah, I don't think it's on the main screen, but it's this map of the deserts of our planet, whether it's cold or hot.
Mhm.
It's a desert. It's considered desert
Yeah.
land,
Mhm.
and so it's interesting too that these beings, just like us, have a hard time. When you and the maps are a little different from each other when you look at side by side with the first one they showed, then this desert map. It's hard to see, but they pretty much line up with like, yes, Sasquatch is not going there either.
Mhm.
They're
Mhm.
looking for. Oh, there it is together. So, it very closely lines up with where you're going to see, um, where the sightings are and where the
Mhm.
deserts are that are,
Mhm.
they're not, they're not going there to these
Right.
desert climates, whether it's again hot or cold.
Well,
Um,
yeah.
which makes sense, if they're using resources to live, which I don't know entirely if they are, because if they're interdimensional, they don't need to be here to eat
Right.
or
Right.
whatever. So, but then again, but maybe nobody's seeing them in those places because there's not a lot of people hanging out there either.
Well,
So
and that's
there's not a lot
true.
of sightings.
Well, and that's
Could be.
true, and I think one of the other things I think might be a difference too between the 2 is, Sasquatch is pretty close to major metropolitan areas. I mean, we've even our
Mhm.
first research area, Heidi, we have found
Yep.
some pretty compelling things, heard some pretty compelling things. Okay, we haven't seen one in the eyes up there, but we have found some really cool things, and we've heard with our ears what we thought was a
Mhm.
squatch. That's pretty close to this major metro area that I live in, that you live in too,
Well,
it's
and I had them
within
in my yard.
30 minutes.
The
Yeah.
house that I lived right before this one, they were in the yard, at least 3 contact that we had. 2
Mhm.
were visual, 1 was no, 4 visual. No, 4 contact, 3 were visual, 1 was a vocalization. And that is a suburb of the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
In our
Yeah.
yard. In our
Yeah.
yard.
Yeah. So they are super close. They are so much closer than you would imagine. So they are
Yeah.
acclimated to people, is what I'm trying to say,
Mhm.
and I think maybe that might be the biggest difference is the Yeti is really seen or found in very remote places that there are no humans. And so
Yep.
that might be a big one too, which which kind of ties into the whole Bumble thing, right? Bumble was up in the middle of nowhere too, except for Santaville. So it's very interesting. And I think it'd be fun to do a show on Yetis. Maybe we can get it'd be fun to get some of the at least one Canadian researcher in on this and talk to them about it too and see what they're finding up there. That would be that would be, I wonder if Alan knows anybody, because we know Alan's a Canadian researcher, but he's not quite as far north as I think. It would be cool to find somebody who's even further north than he is, and find out what they're finding.
Or anybody listening to our show, if you know someone who is a Yeti researcher, they actually research Yeti, that would be great. Let us know. Steer them our way. We love to get them on the show just so we can ask, like, what's the difference? What are you noticing with this?
Absolutely.
Or is it there no difference?
Yeah, maybe there really isn't. And one just prefers to live way far away from humans, and the other one is kind of like, well, it's okay. I do think that they all probably are interdimensional and they use portals to get around. I think so too. And that's why that the Patty video just makes me go, really? Because that seems so nonchalant, right? Like, oh, you're filming me, when historically they don't want to be seen. They don't want to be captured on video. They don't want to be captured on camera. No.
So this one is just like, yeah, whatever. You see me, I see you. Here you go. I mean, obviously it could be intentional. Like, we want to get this ball rolling, but then we're not going to give you anything else for 50 years.
Yeah, exactly. And now everybody has a camera on these, and it's like somebody most certainly would have caught something just as compelling in those 50 years,
I don't know
if it was a real thing, I think, So interesting, all interesting ideas. And I think we need to look more into this. Says Patty enters the scene through a portal. Oh, really? That's what they say. So they even thought that way back then. So that's not just something that,
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Carbondale, PA has a white Bigfoot video attributed to it. Oh, that's cool. We're going to have to check that out.
Yeah, for sure. So I think this needs more, another show, right now. Another show. Of course, we're doing this because it's fun and it's the Christmas season, and we had to bring Bumble into the whole, conversation because we love Bumble. There he is again.
That was in 2008, 2009. The Carbondale, Pennsylvania. I just Googled it quick.
Wow. Oh, okay.
And I'm going to have to check it out now because I want to see it.
Yeah.
But 2008, 2009.
Watch.
Right. And that's Pennsylvania. I mean, that's right here with the folks.
Oh, look at that.
It's not out in the Himalayas or up northern Canada. So that's cool. I'm going to have to check that out after the show. I won't do it during the show.
For sure.
Just have me staring at the screen doing
nothing.
I
know. And Jerry has mentioned a couple of names. So I think maybe we get in contact with these people and see if we can.
Yeah, we should get a Yeti person on the show.
Yes, that would be phenomenal, wouldn't it? I think that would be really awesome. So we will do that.
And you wonder too, is there any place that has a Yeti and Bigfoot sighting at this, like in the same place, like, or is it really only like Yeti, Bigfoot? Are they all the same? Is one just older than the other? I don't know, right?
We don't know. Well, like most things paranormal, we just don't know.
I would imagine that there's researchers from what I've seen out there. There's researchers that are like, it's a huge difference.
Yeah,
there's a huge difference. They are not the same beings.
I've heard
Shut
that
your
too.
Mouth, you guys.
I've heard that too, and I've heard that Yetis, like these footprints are very small. They say they're smaller than a Bigfoot, but I've also heard like the Russian ones say that they're massive, and they call them big snow monsters, like Bumble from Rudolph. So
yeah, because the size on that guy was. He was a monstrosity. He was huge compared to the. Well, okay, were they elves in that movie?
Yes,
so they might be shorter than humans.
But yeah, but
so
look
we have
at
a bit
Rudolph.
Of it. But still, he was really tall. Anyway,
yeah.
If he was real,
anyway,
he was very tall.
Well,
we're debating a cartoon monster at this point now. Okay,
but anyway, so fun, and it's that time of year. But yes, maybe in the new year we will definitely have a more serious discussion about Yeti and Bigfoot, and see if we can, like I said, try to find someone who will come on with us and tell us what they know for sure. Canadian researchers. Oh, my hoodie is this is the Squatchers logo. My team. So I thought it was appropriate because we were talking about Bigfoot and Seth.
I had mine on the other day.
Did you?
Yeah. Oh, here, look at this. Look
Mm-hmm.
at.
Oh, look at that. You did that. You made that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool beans.
I had to wear that one today. I've got something else on the back, but I'm not going to turn around.
Yeah.
That I made. But, I was going to say too, this whole, because last week I brought up Krampus, right? Krampus for the holidays.
Yeah.
And now we have Bigfoot, which is, the Yeti, the Bumble from Rudolph. And I think it's interesting to have these big, hairy, menacing creatures coming out during the holidays. Like,
yes,
what's that about? And I think some of it too is this need for balance, or to have like, it can't always be good, right? Because we're humans, we have to wreck things or be afraid of something. So we have Krampus, we have Yeti or Bumble or whatever. That's like this fear energy that comes in and invades what could be, a positive time. And, so I think it's interesting that these like really kind of scary cryptids come out at the holidays.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's their time to shine.
Yeah. It's so fun. It is just so fun. And, as I've always said, the best time to go out in the woods looking for Sasquatch is in the wintertime.
Well, that's what I've always said. I don't go out in the summer.
Well, there's too many bugs. But the wintertime, there's no foliage. The snow is there. You can see prints so much easier. It's just because the forest floor is not all littered with leaves anymore. It's all white with snow. So prints are easier to find. You can't cast them, but at least you can shoot photos of them, and put your foot next to theirs like I did. But so hopefully we'll get out there pretty soon. I know we're I think maybe next week, not this coming weekend, but the weekend before Christmas, maybe we're going to try to get out at least for a couple hours in our research areas. I'm anxious now. It's been a while since we've been out. We've been so busy with the paranormal stuff. So it's time to get back to the whole cryptid thing. So, but anyway, so this is just kind of a fun little way to bring fun stuff into our show and some seriousness too. So my screen just went right out. I thought, oh my God, I lost everybody.
I know, same. No, mine did
but
too.
Here we are. Okay, good.
Awesome.
Oh, good. Okay. So anyway, well, so next year we'll put it on the calendar. We'll get someone in here who can tell us about Yeti and the difference, and maybe a Canadian researcher would be fun. Like I said, we'll contact our guy up there in International Falls and find out who he knows up there, Alan. But it's the holiday fun, so watch out for the Bumble.
Yes.
And
watch out.
I think watch out. Yes. So thanks for watching, everyone, and do join us next week for our Christmas show. And we'll be together in the studio, hopefully, unless the weather is, snowing multiple inches of snow.
Yep.
But we'll be together in the studio for our Christmas episode. Thanks for watching. And thanks to all the veterans, all the troops that are out there. Thank you for your service.
And all the folks in the chat room, thanks for joining us. Glad to have you here, everybody, wherever you're listening. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Please go to our YouTube page and subscribe so you're up on all the videos that we post. And thank you to Jason for putting everything together this week, because we sent you a lot of stuff at the last minute and you knocked it out of the park. Thank you. And Cryptovania TV too for hosting us. We love being here. And we'll see you for our last show of the year next week.
Yes. Good night, everybody.
Night.